Today in Grow a Garden and Roblox, I have some ideas of the kinds of events we could be seeing in the coming weeks. Some ideas for concepts for events for holidays and for biomes and places we could go and adventure to, and all of this in preparation for when the game eventually circles back to the spring. And I have a controversial or potentially controversial idea when that happens. If this sounds interesting to you, go ahead and hit the red subscribe button, become part of the first 300k OGs on the channel. Then let's get into the video. Now, if I look like I'm exhausted, and if I sound like I'm exhausted, if I look like I've only had about 5 hours of sleep, that's because I have. Because I was at the Jays game at the Rogers Center, where me and like 30,000 other people got to watch the Jays play all the way across the other side of the planet, or the other side of the continent, the other side of the country. I'm tired. And they were facing the Dodgers. So I was up super late watching the Jays game. They won. It was great. Had a good time with my family. But now I'm back at it. And I have a bunch of concepts for you, a bunch of ideas of the events we could see. Now it's Wednesday. And on Wednesdays, we usually get the announcement, sometime today, for what the next event is going to be coming up on Saturday. So before that drops, I'm going to give you all the kinds of things we could see, as well as my controversial hot take that we're going to get to later in the video. First up, I've got two crazy kind of out there events that I would love to see come to Grow a Garden sometime between now and spring. So right now we've got all of November. So in November you can fit two events. And then you have December, and obviously we're going to talk about a Christmas event. So let's talk about things we could see in November to spice things up. First one, I want to see a space event. I want to see an outer space event. I want the surface of the world to change to the surface of the moon. I want to see aliens. I want to see otherworldly plants with like arms and tentacles. Also really crazy, cool outer space, sci-fi kind of stuff. Different kinds of aliens. You could do, you know how we have the space squirrel, the little squirrel in an astronaut suit? You can do that with some of the pets we have. There's a lot of really cool things you could do with an outer space theme. Things that are really exciting and different and out there. And you can have all sorts of really cool little cute mini games involving jumping on the asteroids and stuff, which is very easy and awesome and fun to do for kids. Ultimately, I think there's a lot of unexplored possibilities with an outer space theme for an event. Let's move on to the next concept for an event. I mentioned this also in a previous video. I want an under the sea event. I want to be able to swim around. I want to be able to plant coral. And then you have all sorts of things like fish and dolphins and whales and sharks, etc., etc., etc. There's so many great, amazing underwater creatures you could add as pets as well. And the one idea I talked about months and months ago would be about the event is one of the events could be there is a mermaid and she has a pen of seahorses and she's keeping all the seahorses in this pen. It's like a horse pen basically. And then at the top of the hour, the seahorses break out of the pen and they scatter all across the underwater realm, and you have to go and retrieve them and bring them back to the pen by offering them food. And once you give them enough food, they become your friend, or you fill up their meat, or they become your friend. You can bring them back to the pen. And once all the things are back in the pen, congratulations, you have completed the event for that hour. That was one idea I had for an underwater event. I thought it'd be kind of cool. Outer space, underwater, both great, fertile, unexplored options, unexplored concepts for events in this game. But that could take us into winter, because those two events could take up all of November, and then we can go into winter. Now, we have winter and Christmas, and those can be two separate things. You can have a 2-week winter event in the first 2 weeks of December, where you have igloos and polar bears and seals and snowball fights and all sorts of other winter wonderland fun events, tobogganing down a hill, and you could have yetis. I talked about my one cool idea where every top of the hour a mountain erupts past the gear shop, boom, erupts high into the sky, and you have to run up the slope and dodge the snowballs that the yeti is throwing down at you. And you have to get to the top of the mountain and feed him a bunch of food. Give him a giant pile of food as an offering to calm the Yeti down. And once you successfully calm the Yeti down, he stops throwing snowballs down at you guys, and he rewards you for calming him down. So it's kind of like the summer harvest, but with a little dodging snowball obstacle course up the mountain. I thought that'd be kind of cool. Pretty simple, straightforward to do. And there are lots of great winter pets you can do. Cute little white bunnies and stuff, and lots of other amazing pets like winter deer and moose and things like that, and caribou, buffalo, other amazing pets, also things, again, frozen whales that live up in the Arctic and stuff like that, narwhals and things like that, belugas. I don't know how far up they go in the winter off the top of my head. But a winter wonderland is a great thing to do. Again, polar bears. Even though we have a polar bear, I need another polar bear. I need something even bigger, a crazier polar bear. Or just bring back the polar bear. Why not? And then after your 2 weeks of winter wonderland, you go straight into Christmas. And I don't even have to get you started on all the wonderful things you can do for Christmas. You can turn this place into the North Pole. You literally have the pole sticking out of the center of the map and make this a beautiful winter wonderland with snowy hills and stuff, and Christmas lights and Christmas trees, and Santa Claus can come, and reindeer, on and on and on. Christmas is one of the easiest things you can do for decorations and for concepts, and grow a garden. I don't even have to get into depth with Christmas. Everyone knows what Christmas is, and there's so many things you can do. Don't drop the ball on Christmas, developers. Where was trick-or-treating for Halloween? You gave us no trick-or-treating concept for Halloween. So if you don't give us a gift-giving concept in Christmas, you've dropped the ball. Just gift-giving. Allow us to give gifts to each other. Encourage a way to reward people for giving gifts to other players. And remove stealing from the game. Now, after Christmas, we went to January and February. And I cannot remember exactly when the very first event dropped. I'm assuming it's around Easter. So we have to put some time to get to Easter. And there's a lot of really cool concepts and places all around the world that you could pull inspiration from. Let's take a random exotic kind of place around the world, unless you live there. You're like, it's not exotic at all. What about the Australian outback? Think about all the really cool plants in Australia, because it has a biome that is so different from everywhere else. And it has animals in that place that are just so different from everywhere else. Koala and kangaroo and dingoes and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And above and beyond that, there's more exotic creatures and plants in Australia than almost anywhere else in the world. So an Australian outback could be a really cool concept. People would love a kangaroo pet and things like that. So that is a place you could potentially explore as an event to bring Australia to Grow a Garden, both their flora and their fauna. And on top of that, another really cool concept you can bring into Grow a Garden would be an ancient Egyptian concept. Egyptian cosmetics would go so hard in Grow a Garden. And people get pyramids and sphinxes, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of ancient Egyptian animals and ancient Egyptian cats and things like that. And there's all sorts of wonderful, amazing flora and fauna, again, in ancient Egypt. That's another potential example you can pull from the real world history to do. Another real world example that you could pull from is the rainforest. The rainforest is filled with so many amazing cool plants and then amazing cool creatures. Snakes and crocodiles and other animals that live in the rainforest, even though I don't know how deep in the rainforest crocodiles go, or alligators. You can do really cool insects. You can do really cool arachnids. You can do really cool all sorts of things from the rainforest. And the really cool animal sounds you can add into the game. Oh, that's another thing. If you're gonna do events, change up the music, change up the sounds. Christmas event, go grab some royalty-free Christmas music and throw it in there for the Christmas event. You know what I mean? Change it up. So there are lots of really cool real-world examples of crazy locations on this planet to pull from, whether it is the Arctic for the Winter Wonderland, the rainforest, ancient Egypt, the Australian outback. There's lots of places around the globe you can draw inspiration from for events leading up to going back into some of the previous events. But they all don't have to be inspired from modern places or current places or real places. They can be fantastical. I'm talking a fantasy update. I'm talking dragons. I'm talking mimic chests that eat up players temporarily if the player gets too close to the chest. The plant, for example, can be a plant in the game. I'm talking all sorts of wonderful, fantastical creatures that we don't have in this game. I'm talking knights and castles and dragons and spells and wizards. I'm talking all sorts of great, fantastical concepts. Basically, just look through a Dungeons and Dragons monster manual and consider anything in there as a small, cute little pet in the game. And if you see any plant-related monsters in the Dungeons and Dragons monster manual, you might want to consider those for plants in the game. And there are more ideas above and beyond that we could experience as events in Grow a Garden. And there's so many of them, they're going to take us all the way to Easter. And this is where the developers, their lives might get a whole lot easier at that point. Because at that point, you've created a full 365-day calendar for events in this game. And that gives you the opportunity, the option to do part 2s of the events we've already experienced and then expanding upon them. And this is what could potentially be a controversial take in the game, because eventually your events will lead you back to the exact same week or 2 week or 3 week or whatever it was structure that the Easter event was on, and then the Venus flytrap event, and then the lunar and blood moon event, and then the busy bee event. You see what's happening here? So what you could do if you're lazy, and I don't think you guys are lazy, I think you work really hard. What you could do if you're lazy is you could easily just redo the events, just rerun them and go 365 days of events. Our work is done here. Have fun playing your game, everybody. You could do that. Or you could take those events and expand upon them. Not complicate them, but expand upon them. I mean, the Easter event was quite simple. You could add additional rewards. You could reintroduce a candy blossom. That's what the controversy is. But you can expand upon them with additional rewards, cool little different things. You could expand upon the event, keeping it simple, but making it more interesting or more diverse or whatever. And that could work for the Easter event. And that could work for the Venus flytrap event. I know the Venus flytrap event was kind of not well received. And then you've got the lunar event, and you can expand upon that a little bit. And busy bee, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And at that point, you've got your events. And even if there was an event that wasn't very popular, even you could go through the cycle again and find an event that wasn't well received. It could be the Seed Evolution event or the Fairy event or whatever. You can change things. You can make those complicated events more simple. You could not use those events and throw in a whole brand new event and replace events that weren't that great. And you can improve upon them that way. So I'm really excited to see what direction Grow a Garden is going to take from here at the end of Halloween all the way up to the Easter event in these next handful of months. And then once I get to the Easter event, I'm curious to see what the developers are going to do. Hopefully you guys found these concepts cool. If you have any ideas, comment down below with your ideas about what kinds of cool themes or events you would love to see in Grow a Garden. And if you found this video useful or interesting, go ahead and hit subscribe. Become part of the first 300k OGs on the channel. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching.